Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Hello and welcome to the Alex Jones Show. I am not Alex Jones. I am John B. Wells, sitting in and later with Alex Jones for this 5th day of June 2012. Halfway there, aren't we? We'll be joined today by Dr. Theresa Dale for the first hour. She is a world-class speaker. She is a homeopath, a state-approved instructor out there in California, a healer, a traditional naturopath, certified clinical nutritionist, doctor of naturopathic scientist, medical consultant, inventor, but more to the point, she is a healer not only of others, but of herself. And one of the things she healed herself of was radiation poisoning from Chernobyl. As you know, the mainstream media is not covering the Fukushima disaster with the same verve that they did when the Chernobyl incident occurred back in the 80s. There are a variety of reasons for this. It ranges from saving face to not alarming the public, and I'm sure there's some other political components that we're not entirely aware of, but we can perceive it. A couple of interesting news items that I'll get to in just a second. Alex Jones is on his way back from Chantilly, Virginia, having scrutinized very closely the Bilderberg convention or meeting or whatever you might call it. And I'll talk with him in the second hour and find out the latest and most raw intel that he has to offer. He's been up there for days, making his way back. And then in the third hour, Craig Hulet will join us. He has worked with the Security Services, Department of Homeland Security, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. But what he will talk about with us in the third hour has nothing to do with the alcohol or the tobacco, but it will be how absolutely every keystroke, every text, every fax, every cell phone call, every hardline call, everything is recorded and will be for the foreseeable future. Also, a few key words to avoid, such as my email box is blowing up. If you say something like this, well, the computer is going to pick that up and highlight your name on the list. Interesting stuff from the InfoWars site. Eco-fascist James Hansen admits global warming is not man-made. I am normally the Saturday night host of Coast to Coast AM, and we enjoy a friendship with Alex Jones and his InfoWars Prisonplanet organization. It is with this mutual cooperation that we are able to bring information that will not be heard in other areas. So, we discussed many times, I personally discussed many times, that all weather is created by unequal heating of the Earth's surface. I don't think pollution is a good thing, but I do not think that the human beings are causing the enormous planet to heat. It's being caused by solar activity. And now James Hansen admits global warming is not man-made. Here's another little tidbit. 5 million Brazilian farmers are locked in a lawsuit with U.S.-based Monsanto, suing for as much as 6.2 billion euros. They say the genetically engineered product by this genetic engineering company has been collecting royalties on crops it unfairly claims as its own. It's the mouse that roared. And there will be a lot more roaring as time goes by, as these products are revealed to be as damaging to health as many, many scientists and researchers claim. We'll be back with Dr. Theresa Dale very shortly on The Alex Jones Show. John B. Wells in for Alex Jones and with Alex Jones in the second hour. But first, Dr. Theresa Dale is with us. Since Europe is well known as the leader in medical research and education in the area of naturopathy, bioenergetics, magnetic fields, and homeopathy, Theresa Dale chose to fulfill her naturopathic studies in the USA and Europe. I believe she has just returned from Europe. She is, I believe we could say she is a Chernobyl survivor because many did not. They were sickened by the radiation release there, and they did not make it. Dr. Theresa Dale did. Welcome to the Alex Jones Show. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much and for the introduction. And I'm happy to say that I did survive Chernobyl, and I can tell people exactly what I did to do that.
Now, you just returned from Europe.
I was lecturing in Paris, and I was lecturing to a group of people who were very interested in radiation toxicity exposure and how to detoxify it, clean your body up, and to also implement a radiation diet, an anti-radiation diet to help the body to release it on a regular basis.
So it is possible to minimize the effects of it. A lot of people are not aware of that. They assume that once you've contacted it, you're in trouble.
Right. Well, the whole thing is you can help to eliminate it, and I have created a regime to do that. However, we also need to know very important things about radiation. From the time that you are ingested or breathe it, it has a 38-year shelf life in your body. In other words, for 38 years afterwards, you could get cancer from it. So if you don't do anything, so the point is we want to do something. We want to do whatever we can to minimize this because this is happening right now from Fukushima.
How serious do the people that you spoke with, how serious is it? I perceive it's quite serious, and if reactor number 4 is damaged again and there's another release, it's going to just ratchet up exponentially. What are people saying over there?
It's so serious that everyone that lives in Japan should move off the island, should move off of Japan, out, as soon as possible. I have patients in Japan who call me and tell me that the government says it's okay. Yet, in California, we found in August, and we just had a release this last week, that there were 15 bluefin tuna samples off of the coast of California near San Diego, which absolutely had Fukushima nuclear radiation in it. And so we also want to take a look at the fact that cesium remains dispersed throughout the water column from the surface to the ocean floor, okay? And there's an article on Reuters from that. And then one of the top cancer doctors says it's irresponsible to say that cesium in California bluefin tuna is nothing to worry about because the media tries to put a spin, no offense, on this, that it's okay if it has nuclear radiation in it. But it's not okay because it's eaten by people. And it takes a long time for the truth to come out.
Always.
Yeah. And so people have been eating tuna for the last half a year. You probably have been eating some with cesium in it.
Now, how can this radiation be detected in food? Or can it?
It can. It can. You can get a radiation detector to a little portable one that people can look for to test the food themselves. But they are now testing food off the coast of California and also Alaska. Anything up on the western side, I would not eat any fish from the ocean from the western side of the United States.
One of those tuna made 2 round trips to Japan and back to the U.S. in 600 days. That's a lot of swimming.
It's a lot of swimming.
And somebody has suggested that, well, this radiation thing might not be such a bad thing after all because it may actually save the bluefin tuna.
Right.
It's like,
right.
okay.
I did read that. It may save the bluefin tuna, but at what cost if people are eating it and don't heed the warnings and aren't aware, and don't listen to shows like this? I mean, you're not going to hear this on CNN. You're not going to hear a lot of this on different, on a consistent basis. You may hear little ramblings of it here and there, but there needs to be some major broadcasts on this topic. Let me just tell you that the meat of 6 cows were fed radioactive straw from Japan, and that reached throughout Japan, and all of this cow meat has radiation in it, and so they've announced this, and that it was a 3 to 6 times the allowable level of cesium. There should be no allowable level of cesium in our food.
Yeah, that seems like a huge oxymoron. Acceptable levels of radioactive toxicity. Well, now these fish that were tested, the first reports that we heard was that the levels of cesium were 10 times higher than those measured last year. And yet, but what are we measuring this against? In other words, no cesium in the food can be good cesium.
Right.
But has anyone established the line?
I think they're trying to establish the line, or they have established a certain line that over a certain amount is no good. But what research do they have to back up that even that small amount, is acceptable? What research? I haven't seen any research that says that a small amount of cesium in your food is not going to be harmful. I have never seen research like that. And so we have this in our fish now. But what people don't realize is that no one's testing the grass-fed animals that are butchered and that we're eating. Okay? No one's testing that because it's on the grass, on grass-fed animals. It's in the feed. It's in our food supply. And so we need to take action and take care of ourselves. That's the most important thing right now. And we have to also look at side effects. What are the side effects of eating or being exposed to radiation? And we will have a spike in infant death rates and an increase in cancer, an increase in chronic degenerative diseases, premature deaths, and lifelong crippling disabilities. That's just some of them.
The 14,000 extra, they call them extra deaths. Mm-hmm. Children ages 1 and younger have already occurred, and that's old news now. That's almost a year old.
They're not giving us updates on that, but my patients who live there and that I talk to via Skype are not being given any kind of, they're not being given the truth. And so I suggest that they look into moving to another country, because if your government doesn't protect you and take care of you, then it's time to take a trip and find somebody else. So find another place to live.
Now, as a couple of grown-ups talking here on national radio, we understand that the words that are coming out of our mouths are actually quite serious, quite dramatic, and quite alarming to a lot of people. But there's been a recent film. He's an old war horse, General Stubblebine, who says that if this 4th reactor goes, the entire northern hemisphere is at risk.
Right. And that is the truth. And people need to do something. Now, when I was in France, there was an article, and I found out that this was true when I went to France, is just to back up everything, is that the nuclear, the part of the government that is the nuclear department